And
Yay!
we're live streaming on IG. Hi, everybody. Good morning. I want to say technical difficulties, but it was more like mechanical difficulties for me today. It wasn't
It's
in
kind
the
of
digital
technical.
world, in the digital realm. It was here in the physical realm. All of my stands decided to stop cooperating. Good morning. I'm Natascha. And this is Alegre. And you're on IG. You will be with us. We'll be with both of us in just a moment. But in the meantime, I'll tell you what we're about. We are together, BYW Dreams, Beyond Your Wildest Dreams. And we are all about helping you prioritize yourself, save time, and help you accomplish your dreams, which is often, can be difficult. And maybe you haven't even thought about the fact that you have a dream or have had a dream, or what's a dream?
And like, is dream something that happens when I sleep? Because if so, sign me up for it.
And it is, yes. And I have more of those too, more sleeping as well. But yes, getting in touch with your dreams and what it might be that you've put aside and or maybe doesn't fit you anymore.
Yes. We often tell our students, hey, you're welcome to let go of dreams that no longer serve you, or you've outgrown, or maybe you were working towards that dream and you realized that's not the dream for me. Then let it go. Make space.
Right. Yep. So that's what we're about. That's what we are all about, is helping you excavate. And then we like to say we'd like you to excavate and then execute. It's so funny. I said excavate, and then I was like, eliminate? No, that's not right.
It's another E word.
It's another E word. Excavate, and then I'm like, eliminate. No.
Eliminating is definitely part of the process, though, because we do, when you're excavating, you can come up with all these dreams that you have. I want to be an Olympian. I want to run for political office. But then you think, but do you really want to? Or was that political office dream actually something maybe a family member had put on you, or societal expectations?
Mm-hmm.
So there's definitely elimination involved in the excavation, but
right. And that is so important. Oh my gosh. Right now, if you were with us last week here on our live IG chat, you know that kind of in the first phase of a remodel here that we're doing. And so by proxy, I'm purging, and oh my goodness, the elimination factor, and I'm just running into, I'm like, oh wow, we just have more stuff than we can manage, and it's like it's not even about like, do I need this or want this per se, or like, well, am I going to use this, as it is like, can I manage this thing's existence in our life? And if I keep saying yes to all these things that I could potentially use, because I am definitely that person who's like, I may need this dingle hopper in 3 years. and then I'm right. And in 3 years I do, like we do need it. I have it, and great, but like that threshold of like managing all your stuff. Right. And so it's the same idea too with things in your life, with like, if you're holding on to like, or trying to live up to expectations or dreams from other people, and there's just too many of them, it's beyond your threshold to be able to manage it and execute.
Yeah. And it's interesting because if you know anything about my story, you know that I've had a few businesses, and I had a store for 10 years. And when that store closed, I kept any of the inventory that I could personally use.
Mm-hmm.
And that store has been closed now 11 years. And we still have a couple of things like leave-in hair conditioner. I guess you just go through it really slow, but we still have some leave-in hair conditioner from there. And there have been points where I've thought to myself, okay, why am I holding on to this thing from this business? Mm-hmm. And what's helped me? It's a surprising thing. If there's something that I'm not sure if I want to let go, either because I spent a lot of money on it or because I'm emotionally invested in it, what I'll do is I'll put it up for sale online, but at a crazy high price. Like, yes, I'm willing to sell. So I had one of my businesses was creating this gourmet food product, right? So I had this stand that I used to sterilize the bottles before I used them for bottling. Mm-hmm. And, it was just taking up space. And I was like, oh, but that was my sterilization rack. I don't know why that seems.
So I know, I get it.
And by the way, so when I was in MBA school, I took a really interesting class about. It was kind of a bonus class. It wasn't like a for grade class, right? It was just like a fun class. And it was about coupons and gift certificates and perceived value. And one of the really interesting things was that if someone has a bottle of wine that is unopened and is still available for sale in the store, just by virtue of the fact that it's their bottle of wine, if you ask them, how much will you sell this for? They will put it like at a I don't remember how much, 20%, something higher than the store. And it's like, who do you think you are? Like, you're not Tom Cruise. Like, you touching the bottle does not imbue it with some added value. It's for sale right over there. And such was the case, right, with this disinfecting rack. Like, someone could have bought it, no problem. But because it had been mine.
Right.
And so putting it up for sale, if it sells, great. If it doesn't sell, like, you slowly lower the price. And then suddenly you get to the point where, you know what? I'm okay giving this away. Like, I've separated myself from it. And I find that to be useful with expensive / sentimental things.
Yeah, because it can definitely be, for me especially, like, I get stymied by the decision-making process, like, and just like kind of like, well, if I could find a place for this, I could make a spot for it. I could, and so switching from this thing of like, I can find a spot for it, or like, is there really already a spot for this? And do I, our house is definitely beyond the, like, it takes me 5 minutes to tidy every day threshold. Like, we are way past that. I'm trying to, knock it down, and it is wonderful and freeing. And I love the Buy Nothing. Thank you again, Alegre, for introducing me to Buy Nothing groups. It just feels so good when somebody comes by and grabs something that you found useful at one point. They're going to find useful at another point. It is kind of funny, the things that I've held on to, with way past like the age appropriateness for my kids, like, I mean, just way past it. And I'm just like, why do we still have, like, I have like a set of sippy cups. Like, I'm like, why do we still have, I couldn't believe we still have them, they were the good sippy cups. Do you know what I mean? So like, I don't think
they just get pushed back far enough.
You just
don't even know they're there anymore. Which, hallelujah, drawers.
Yes, drawers.
We just installed a bunch of drawers in our kitchen. If you've been following, then you know that I've been renovating the kitchen for a while, and we finally got new drawers installed for our new cabinets. Although now it's making me look at the old cabinets and think, can I put some drawers in there? It's so wonderful.
Game changer.
And
yeah.
And something I talk about frequently as well is I have a organizing box full of screws and nails that I created about 3 years ago, right? Going through my house and collecting all of them and sorting them all. We literally didn't have to buy a single screw for the installation of these, 15 drawers.
Amazing. That's great. And you have them so well organized that you knew exactly what you had and exactly what you needed. And see, that's a really great principle too about organizing and purging, right? Is just that, like, putting it in a system that makes sense. And I'm just, the way that I motivate myself while I'm purging and cleaning is to listen to people's YouTubes about organizing and purging. And, even if I'm not following their steps per se, it's just kind of motivating while I go. And one of the things that she said, you got to ask yourself, if I needed to find this, where would I look for it? Right. Not where should I put it? Where should it go? Like, where is the first place that I would look for it? So you're not wasting time. And so you went ahead and you made a system where you now know, like, where you would go look for any screw, nail, a fastener that you have. And not only do you know where to look, but they're organized. You're not going to spend a whole lot of time sifting too.
Exactly. Yeah. It's been such a time saver in terms of time in the car,
Right. To go to the home improvement store to get the right screw.
Yeah. I've saved my trip.
All those times going and getting the wrong one.
Right. No, I've saved myself at least 30 trips of the last 3 years, because you just need like a tiny, I need one screw for this one thing that fell out and I can't find it.
Right. And you go and you buy, and they only have in packs of 20 or whatever, right? And or they don't have that particular one, or I mean, yeah. So you check your stash first. And I obviously it's been working for the last 3 years. 10 out of 10 times you found
amazing. So for those of you who didn't watch last week's episode of our live stream, I just want to encourage you to watch it. We talked about a concept called Ikigai, and I'm going to put up the graphic today so you can find it on our Facebook page. You'll be able to find our social media, the graphic that we discuss. But if you are the sort of person who has a lot of things that you're interested in doing and needs some clarity, Ikigai is such an amazing tool. Amazing tool. Yes.
Really cute. I love that. I love that word too.
Right. And so it's not our word. It's a Japanese word, Ikigai, and it means something along the lines of a reason for being or a life purpose, if you will. And it really does a nice job. You've probably seen something similar, but this one adds one more layer that I think is powerful. You've probably seen something similar where it's like these circles that overlap, what the world needs, what you can be paid for, what you enjoy doing. But what I love about Ikigai is that they separate what you enjoy doing and what you're good at, which are not always the same thing.
The same, not the same. Yeah. So it's good to make good to make that distinction, right?
Yes.
Because I'm good at some stuff that don't always enjoy it, right?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Like
I'm good
for
at
instance,
customer service. I was very, very good.
Yeah.
Like a phone, I did a lot of work on the phone. I'm very good at that. Did I enjoy it?
Or the things that you enjoy doing for yourself and your family and the people you love, but you don't want to do for work.
Right. Hence,
right.
I've always had friends and family tell me, "Oh, you should be a party planner." I'm like, if I did this for work, I would hate everyone. Right. I'm like, I do it for my kids and I love it and it's fun and exciting and I super enjoy it. But if the second I'm saying like, hey, pay me X amount for, it would not be fun for me.
Exactly. So go to our socials later today and you'll see the diagram that we talk about in the Ikigai. And today I just want to talk a little bit about trip planning and camping since it's still summer and there's still some time for travel, and also perhaps in the fall you're planning on doing some camping because it's going to be a little bit cooler wherever you are. Right. There are certain campgrounds here in Southern California that I only go to in the fall.
Yeah.
Like in the desert, for instance.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're not familiar with desert camping, you might think, why would you camp in the desert? And the desert has some amazingly calming views.
Magical. Honestly, you feel like sometimes you're like I'm on another planet. Like it's just so. And then of course the stars, which you get to see. I went camping this weekend and amazing, the amount of stars we get to see and stuff. And by the way, tons of satellites, which is kind of mind blowing. Like you see so many satellites, just like
right.
Crazy. Yeah. So desert camping though, I went up to the mountains, but highly recommend desert camping too.
Yeah, I love desert camping. One of my favorite places to go is Joshua Tree, which is about a 2.5 hour drive from where we live in Los Angeles. And it just feels like a Zen rock garden on a gigantic scale. And it's very calming. And it's interesting. The first time we took our daughter there, she said, "Mom, I feel God." I was like, oh my gosh, where did that come from?
Something about open spaces like that, right? Yeah. Plus you have to really be still, I think, because it's teeming with life, but it's not obvious. Like we're in the forest and it's birds everywhere and squirrels and, we have to lock all our stuff in a bear box because who knows, probably more, raccoons or squirrels than anything, but in that particular
rabid raccoons.
But it's still nice to have it in a locker. Of course, my kids play hide and seek in the first place. My young guy goes in the
locker. Oh my God.
Yeah. So, I was like, can you get out of that? There is a latch on the inside. Anyway, just FYI, safety.
In case someone plays hide and seek in the bear locker.
You can open it from the inside. But yeah, it's wow. Yeah. The desert, it's a whole nother, level of.
It's the only place I've ever experienced complete silence. Right? Because in a forest, there's always a bird or, if you're by the ocean, which is wonderful, but there's always a wave crashing, and complete silence is it's profound. So anyway, so if you like camping or interested in camping, go to our website, look at our blog, or go to our Facebook page and look at our most recent newsletter. I did a little post about camping, but the most important thing there is that it includes mine and Natascha's camping lists, because both of us have them.
I've got mine my updated one right now too, because I'm leaving for camping tomorrow. We do 2 weekends in a row of camping, and it's just a different kind of trip. But so I'm reorganizing my list. You can see I've got all these like lines and stuff, and I'm doing something that I keep saying I'm going to do for forever, which is organize my list by the camping tubs I have. We've been camping long enough that like I now have like camping like tubs, right? So organizing that way. So you see the list online, but I may repost this once I've redone it, where you can kind of see because what was happening was going like, do I have a spatula? I don't know. And then I'd go dig through, and so that's what the list started, right?
Right.
So, but the list was like more of like, so now I'm separating it between what I have.
This
is
like what you need to grab.
Like, this is what we need to go camping.
Right.
But not only what I have, but which tub is it in, And so I was up till much like your screw story. I was up till 1:00 in the morning last night going, okay, I think this should go in this tub and this should go in this tub. And then making little notes here. I have the clear tub and the black tub, like putting little notes about which one it's going in, and I'll be reorganized. So I'll update the post with,
definitely
my newer list. Yeah.
Well, and so my list is from when we used to tent camp. And we never had anything that was just for camping. And so one thing you'll see on my list is that for some of the things, there's parentheses next to it. And it says something like entry hall closet or emergency can. Because like, for instance, like we kept our tent with our emergency preparedness stuff when we weren't camping. So I had to go grab it from there. And I did not have a tub with cooking utensils. It was all stuff from my kitchen, which, in some ways was easy because I just knew everything on the list. I needed to grab everything on the list. But now we have a camper van, and 99% of the things we need for camping live in our camper van. And so now I have a much smaller list. It literally has like 5 items on it, and it's stored with our solar charging battery.
Yeah, very cool. Right. Because that you keep not in the van.
Right. We keep that in the house for emergency preparedness. And so in its bag.
Handy for us this winter.
Oh my God. Thank God.
Thank God. We were having a retreat and power went out. And luckily my husband brought over this Jackery. And I was like, I need one of those. Because it was wild. Yeah. That's how we kept
great.
the party going. We were bundled up in our coats because there was no heat, but man, we could work on our laptops and
and I'll even use the Jackery when it's super duper hot and I just don't want to cook in the house, and I'll cook outside with some of our electric, because like when my last toaster oven was starting to not work properly, and the toaster oven that I was looking at went on sale, I bought that one and then I moved the old one outside. It still works, it's just funky. But during summer, sometimes I'll cook with it because I just don't want to heat up the house. Anyway, that's total sign it. So anyway, in the Jackery bag, I have a list of 5. It's literally like grab the walkie-talkies, right? It's like the 5 things that we need to bring.
Yeah.
And so that's my camping list now, but that's not what I included because that's not really, I put my tent list because that's still on my computer, and it brought back from some fond memories.
Aw. Yeah. I know I used to do that too, where I'd be like, because I never really thought like, why have 2 spatulas or 2 whatever? Like I used to steal from my kitchen too.
Yeah.
But then after a while, then I'm like, but now I'm like ruining, these camps, like by ruining stuff. So I just went to the 99-cent store and just got a bunch of stuff, 4 forks, 4 spoons, 4 knives, that kind of thing. And
totally.
And just, so that's been game changer in that regard. So highly recommend. Doesn't have to be expensive. And it's just one less thing to have to manage, right? Especially
Absolutely.
if you're a frequent camper, recommend having, a camp bin. But we couldn't have a camp bin until we got a minivan. So, like there was
Right.
no point in me having, well, I had a bin, but I'd have to like that bin would have never fit in our Kia Soul. So
Yeah.
I mean,
And
y'all, you can go camping. You can make it work. We made it work, but we got that minivan. I'm like, tub camping, camp tub.
And if you're new to camping, by the way, you don't need a lot of stuff. The first time I ever went camping, I literally
Mhm.
had a geostorm. I borrowed a tent from my parents.
Mm-hmm.
And that was all I had, was a tent.
Yeah, yeah.
That was it. And the only tip I want to give you, if you've never gone camping before, is if you're going to tent camp, find out how cold the ground gets where you camp. Because I did almost freeze to death on that trip because I was not aware that it would get so cold and it would seep up through the tent. So it's my only tip, because you might need like a foam pad or something. But other than that, you can really camp with very little.
Yeah, the survivalist's tip is like, if you have got one blanket and it's cold, lay on it instead of covering yourself.
Instead of covering yourself.
Yeah, because the ground is so much colder than the air, and it will suck any body heat out of you. So under you.
That's my only tip. I was camping with 3 other women who were as clueless as I was. I had the tent, and we literally put all of our clothes on the ground, except the clothes we were wearing.
Right.
All of our clothes on the ground, and then we laid like sardines next to each other, just like so that only one side was touching the ground, and we're just like as close together. And they'd be like, okay, we'd have to, like the penguins, right? The people on the outside got to move to the inside. And I mean, if we slept, it was like in 15-minute increments because it was just so cold.
Yeah. Yeah. So, yes, you can camp that way. And like, please. And especially like in my 20s too, I'd be like, whatever. Like I could sleep with like a root in my back. You know what I mean? Like it didn't matter. Like rocks didn't matter. I slept just fine.
Yeah.
It's not the case today. I'm a little more bougie. I need a better sleeping situation.
Yeah. So check out our blog, check out our social for the link to our newsletter that has the link to the blog and everything, and get our camping list and go out there, because there's so much brain science that shows the benefits of being outdoors. In fact, if you have difficulty sleeping, part of it might be because all the artificial light that we're exposed to at night messes up our circadian rhythms. And they've shown that camping, without having artificial light on at night, can reset your circadian rhythms. And I don't know about resetting circadian rhythms, but I can tell you from personal experience that for me, 3 nights camping feels like 7 or even 10 days on vacation, in an urban location. Like there's just something about the quiet, you eat when you're hungry, you go to sleep when you're tired.
That's 100% how that went. Yeah. Like we just did 2 nights, and I'm about to go do 3, but yeah, there's just something about like having that fresh air and like, just following. It's like, all right, well, it's dark, when we have lanterns and stuff. And, of course, like one of the nights is sitting around the campfire and singing songs and making marshmallows and stuff. But, even my kids who love to just they want to stay up as late as they can all summer long. Like that's all they wanted. That first night, they were just kind of like, we're ready to go to bed. It's time, and there was no pushback about, I didn't even have to say like, it's time for bed or anything. Like they just were like, night, night. You know what I mean? Like they just were like, it's time, and yeah, I can see that. I can see that resetting your circadian rhythm.
And I included a link to an article about that also in this camping blog post. So if you want to learn more about that, go there. Okay. So join us every Wednesday at 9:30 Pacific, 12:30 Eastern for this live IG chat where we just talk about whatever it is we've got going on. Also, we're happy to answer questions. So if you have a question, feel free to type it in there. Thank you to the person who let us know that the sound wasn't on a few. We've both been traveling so much that we just caught up and we're like, oh, not aware that had no audio.
Yes. Right.
So
weird.
So thanks for letting us know. Usually we're better at replying. We just have been traveling a lot. Yeah. But I did want to say one other thing. We are taking part in a wonderful Summit. It's a 1 hour. It's a free online event, August 24th at 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern. And it's a totally free event to take part in. And I love it because if you've been following, you know that we've been on a lot of podcasts lately. We've been interviewed a lot lately. And one that was really fun and different was called The Best Advice. And this is the woman who runs the Best Advice podcast is putting this event together. And the Best Advice podcast is literally a 5-minute long podcast.
Yes.
Where all people do is give their best advice on life, love, health, relationships, whatever.
The best of the best, right? No filler. Yeah.
Exactly. Just bare bones tips and tactics.
Mm-hmm.
And so this is similar. So it's 1 hour. There are 7 of us giving our best advice, and it's live. So you can ask questions, which is really cool. And so for information on that, go to our website, look at our most recent newsletter, look at our posts on social. You'll see a link to that. It's August 24th. And hope you can join us. Register now. It's totally free.
We'll see you next Wednesday.
Yes. Bye.